Hi, everybody. I'm Gloria Moraga. This is the Political Woman Podcast. It's Monday, October 14th, 3 weeks and a day before Election Day. I don't know about you, but I guess I'm one of these nervous Democrats. I'm not nervous, but I am. Does that make sense? I'm going to read some headlines. I've got sound bites as well, and I'm just going to wrap up some of the campaign stuff that's been going on. Former President Bill Clinton went to a fish fry in Georgia. Vice presidential candidate and governor Tim Walz went pheasant hunting on the first day of pheasant season, and then he stopped in at a diner. Bill Clinton hasn't lost his touch when it comes to the economy, and I'll have that soundbite in a sec. Here's headlines. I almost had to just delete my New York Times app because I hate the way they treat Harris and how they soft pedal Trump. So I'm starting with The Guardian. Harris and Trump locked in tight race, seek edge among undecided voters. I say it all the time. I'll just say it again because it's important to say it because not everybody listens to my podcast or listens to every podcast. I don't believe in polls. And I think these polls are meant to discourage people. Some of these polls are created by the campaigns to purposely discourage us. I don't trust mainstream media anymore at all because I think they're all in it for Trump. I do. I know. It sounds, I sound as crazy as a loon, but I don't believe it and I don't trust them. Plus, they don't call people on their cell phones. They do. They say that they add, that they skew it so that it's like they called people on their cell phones. But it's like, come on. So they're calling old coots. They're calling old people. And people who have landlines. Who has a landline anymore? I still pay for my landline because according to my carrier, my service, it's cheaper if I bundle my landline with my internet. And I have a high-end internet. And so I bundle because it saves me money. It saves me like $10 more a month if I bundle. But my phone broke and I haven't gotten a new one. I'm just telling you. So, yeah. So all these mainstream newspapers are quoting polls. Polls. One of the polls that really gets me is when they talk about Hispanic voters and black voters. As if all Hispanic voters were all just in one big bucket. And I think according to Trump, we are. So I'll move from The Guardian to The Washington Post, and I'll just go through some of the stories in The Washington Post because we could just do a wrap here. Hey, Trump was in Coachella, and the man was arrested outside the Trump event in California over illegal possession of guns. The Secret Service said Donald Trump was not in danger after the suspect, Vern Miller, was arrested outside the former president's rally in Coachella, California, held Saturday. Trump was nasty in Coachella, nastier than usual. Why does he come to California and spread his nastiness? And at Coachella, of all places. That's where we have the big concerts. In Arizona, Trump pitches ideas to attract more Border Patrol agents. And he did. He got some sort of endorsement from Border Patrol Agents Union. Unbelievable. You'd think that they were smart enough to know and see through him. I'll have more on that in a minute. Then it says here, Trump chips away at Harris's national advantage in 2 new polls. See, this is like, I can't stand this. I'm like going crazy. The latest polls show that the race is still neck and neck. But some sentiment, okay, hold on, everybody, hold on. Some sentiment, such as deportation of undocumented immigrants, has shifted in Trump's direction. So apparently, according to these polls, when Trump talks about deporting immigrants, putting them in, in the desert and rounding them up with armed guards, people like that. More and more Americans like that, and they're shifting toward Trump because he wants to treat undocumented immigrants like major criminals. We don't put major criminals in jail. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm very discouraged. And partly because I'm reading all of these articles and getting discouraged because it looks bad for Harris. Because deep down, I've said this before, I don't think people like women presidents. New York Times. I tried to watch a video on the New York Times website. And when I clicked on the article that said, video, page, a huge, nasty ad blared up. And it's like, okay, I'm paying extra for the New York Times. And this is what I get when I click on a video. I get a freaking loud ad. Trump has been on a rampage in all his speeches. Okay, something that really bothered me. Former President Trump campaigned in Las Vegas, Nevada. And he was at a roundtable discussion with Latin American voters in Las Vegas. And this is a quote from C-SPAN, where I got the video from. And it said, notable participants include Goya Food CEO Bob Euthane. I think that's how you pronounce it. Here's Bob. Here's the soundbite.
Look at July 13th at 6:11 in the afternoon. St. Paul's letter to Ephesians. Put on the armor of God in this fight against evil. God's hand is on President Trump. He won't take it off. And he's going to bring us to prosperity, to safety. And he's going to lead us closer to God and make America great again.
What? So he's quoting scripture and he's saying that Trump is sent from God, that the hand of God has been on Trump. Does he know anything about Trump? Does he know the crimes he's committed against women and in business and documents he's stolen and the lies he tells, his recent lies, the lies he told about to hurricane victims, and they believe him? And the fact that he wants to deport Latin people. And it's like, oh, it's okay. We're okay because we're legal. It's like, yeah. I'm not meaning to be flip about it, but yes, people didn't think Hitler was going to do all the stuff that he did, but all the signs were there, and Trump's talking about it right out. So this round table, they went around the table, and Latino and Latina community leaders fawned and oohed and awed over Trump and talked about how much they love him and how great he is and how he's going to make our country so much better. And actually, he looked embarrassed most of the time. He looked really uncomfortable and really embarrassed. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining that he was embarrassed, but he took the opportunity to lie about Biden and Harris and to attack them and lie about immigrants. Here you go.
And I guess, you look at it and you say they're not smart, but they're smart, they're cunning, and a lot of them are evil. But you say that maybe they hate our country. I believe they could be some of that because, when you allow drug lords to come into our country, when you allow the people that they're allowing, and by the way, they're emptying prisons out all over the world. This is no longer South America. This is the entire world. From Africa they come, from Asia they come, the Middle East, South America, yes. But it's not exclusive South America. This is all over the world. The Congo, we have a lot of people coming in from the Congo in Africa, and it's incredible. But you just say, why? Why are they doing it? And it has to be evil intention. And then you realize that so many other things that they do, like transgender operations, where prisoners, people that are being held as prisoners, if they request a transgender operation, they get it.
He's a liar. He's just a liar. He's lying about everything. And it's so racial. Didn't anybody at that round table listen to him and think, why is he only attacking people of color and calling them criminals and prisoners, emptying their prisons, poisoning our blood? And he just descends. See, then he descended into transgender operations, and then it even got worse and worse and worse as he spiraled down into the abyss. Wow. Okay, moving on. Harris released her medical records, and then she called on Donald Trump to release his, which he hasn't, and I don't think he ever does. And here's what else she said.
So today I released my medical records, as has, I believe, every candidate for president of the United States except Donald Trump in this election cycle. And it's just a further example of his lack of transparency, that on top of his unwillingness to debate again, his unwillingness to do an interview with 60 Minutes, which again is part of the norm of what anyone running for president of the United States does. And I think that it's obvious that his team, at least, does not want the American people to see everything about who he is. And you put that on top of even the most recent reports of General Milley, one of the people who worked the closest with Donald Trump, referring to him as being unstable. And it is clear to me that he and his team do not want the American people to really see what it is that he is doing and whether or not he actually is fit to do the job of being president of the United States. So,
you obviously don't have insight into what his health is, but from watching him, do you think he's fit for office?
I will not give you a medical analysis of his fitness, but on every other level, when it comes to what we should expect in a president of the United States around having the ability to actually exercise good judgment, both as commander-in-chief and as the leader of this great country, we know that he does not have the ability to do the job. He is unfit for office. He talks at his rallies about fictional characters. He constantly is in a state of grievance about himself. He has no plans for the American people. And then he just makes things up on a full-time basis with the intention to make the people afraid, to make people fear that which they should not be afraid of. But he does it in a way that he thinks, I think, will compel them to believe that somehow he is the savior, when in fact he is quite unfit to do the job.
So boom, she's pulling off the gloves. She's going toe-to-toe with him. You know, honestly, I think if they had to, if we did that, if we had like a physical, get in gear, get in pads or whatever and go at it, I think she could take him. She looks pretty strong to me. I'm back on the New York Times site, And they have all these different articles about Trump. Here's one. Why is Donald Trump gaining with Black and Hispanic voters? Many Latinos are losing faith in the government in Nevada. They skew information. They only print what they think will help Trump. Now, I'm talking about the New York Times. And it's disgusting. I mean, it's just awful. So we had Barack Obama on. I listened to Bill Clinton's, a couple of his speeches. He's campaigning in Georgia. And first I was really shocked at the group he was talking to because it was very small. And I thought, wow, they've really given Bill Clinton the short end of the lollipop in the campaign. But then he said, first thing, I asked to come to small towns because I'm more at home here. And everybody applauded. And he was funny because he used phrases like the races, the presidential race in the swing states are as tight as a tick. Tight as a tick. Have you ever seen ticks? I don't want to get into it, but one of my dogs had ticks once. Oh, I'm scratching. Then he said, he was talking about the economy, and he's really great on the economy. And he said, America, we've got a lot of hay in the barn, America. And he talked about how our economy is in the best shape in the world right now. And he's right. He's right. He has another soundbite that I'd like to play where he talks about price gouging. Why is our food so expensive? It's unbelievable. And, you know, he's right when he says this. It's because our food wholesalers, they have the market cornered, just a few big corporations, and they all want Trump to win. Except I think Walmart stopped giving. Because I was going to stop shopping at Walmart entirely because I stopped shopping at Home Depot because they contribute to Trump. Now I have to go, Home Depot's really close to my house. Now I have to go to Lowe's. And I like the hardware store. But here's what Bill Clinton has to say about price gouging and Harris.
So, we got a lot of hay in the barn, America. We're still, with all this inflation, we're still the best positioned country in the world for the next 20 or 30 years. By far, it's not close. And inflation is coming down. The Federal Reserve has finally lowered interest rates. That's going to lower mortgage rates and borrowing rates generally. And one of the problems we got is when people kept telling you that inflation was down, you couldn't tell at the grocery store or the pump. There's a reason for that. The economists say that food prices change so much and fuel prices change so much, we can't put them in core inflation because there's no trend. It'll be up one month, down another. But here's why it affects you. Maybe you've got a locally owned grocery store here that you shop at, and they do the best they can. Then if they're charging you more than you think you should pay, it's because they're having to pay more for food wholesale. But most of the grocery market now is heavily concentrated in a few big owners, Whole Foods and the other chains and all that. They earn a surprisingly low profit margin, but they're selling to a zillion people, right? So if I'm selling something to 1 million people and my normal margin is 3%, if I get to charge 4, I'm a rich person. That's what's going on with the food. In other words, It's not like the profit margins have gone way up. They don't have to go way up. So this problem has largely been left to the states for 100 years. It's called price gouging. That is, if I can control a price without selling less, if I can raise the price without selling less, that's called price gouging. That belongs in state law, historically. Kamala Harris is the only candidate who has said that with so much concentration in the grocery market, we have got to have a national price gouging law so the Justice Department can look at it. Because if it's inflation they can't avoid, that's fine. We don't want to put them out of business. But if they're trying to put you out of business, that's not fine. And that's just one example. Now, still, most people don't know that. That is a big deal, that she is the only candidate with any plan that will actually give us a practical way to deal with this grocery problem without sticking it to honest people doing their best to run a grocery store and selling you food at reasonable prices.
Yeah, so apparently the states are responsible for handling the price gouging, and they're not freaking doing it. And I wonder why they're not doing it, because this is an election issue. And could it be that they're not taking care of this because they want Trump to win? Because they don't want Harris to have the advantage of them dealing with price gouging. And meantime, who's suffering? Us, your kids. It's just unbelievable to me. I don't have any proof of that. I'm just saying. Tight as a tick. We got hay in the barn. Clinton, the best bite was when he was making fun of Trump. Here's one little quick soundbite from Clinton on Trump.
This is a choice between going back and going forward. That's true. But it's also a choice about how we live and how we think. If you want somebody who's great at blaming and dividing, we can't compete with Trump. I mean, it's all blame, brag, and divide, right? Sun came up this morning. I made it happen. Only I could have made it happen.
All right, I just wanted to share some of the sound bites from Bill Clinton because, yes. He had the problem with the intern and women, apparently. But he was a good president. The economy, he did things with the economy. He's really good. You know, and then the Republicans take over and they just run up the deficit. So there you go. Yeah. So, my friends, I'm here to tell you to please vote. Please have a plan. Don't wait till the last minute and then get too late and not be able to vote. If you could vote early, do it. If you're confused about issues, follow me and make a comment on my pages. I'm on TikTok. I'm here. I'm on YouTube. Look me up, Gloria Moraga, and I will find the answer to your question if you have any questions about issues. I do all the propositions in California. It's important that you vote, and it's important that you vote blue straight down the line. Now, apparently, they've already decided, and when I say they, I mean big newspapers, and my old boss, David Deutsch, have decided that Democrats are going to lose control of the Senate. That there are just some races that Democrats can't win for the Senate. So if Harris wins, which they've decided she's not going to, even before we voted, she won't have the Senate to help her. So it'll be a mess. And who knows what's going to happen with the House? It looks like the House might flip from Republican control to Democratic control. But I'm not, we have an America that wants illegal immigrants to be rounded up and put in the desert in cages or, behind chain link fence. I don't know what America's going to do anymore. I hope a lot of this isn't true. I hope it's just the stupid polls. I'll tell you this right now. On issues, if we'd all vote, we'd win. If all of our young voters, I'm talking to you, my friends, and I don't have any idea if I have any young voters listening to me. If you all vote, we can win. Vote for global warming. Vote for freedom, for women's freedoms, for deciding what to do with our bodies. Women are second-class citizens in this country. Put aside your, fear about Kamala Harris and vote for her. Because the other dude is a fascist. Look at all the articles about him. I'll be back tomorrow, and we will see how things go. Try, my friends. Those of you who are in this, deep, like I am, don't let the polls discourage you, because they're a bunch of liars. That's A. B. Make sure you're registered and check with all your peeps and make sure they are registered. And if you can, vote early. Get your ballots done and get them in. This has to be overwhelming for Harris. And I don't want to hear any BS from Latinos or Latinas and how you're leaning toward Trump because of the economy. We're not going to have an economy. We're not going to have freedom if Trump wins. You think this is a joke? It's not a joke. All right. I'm calming down. It's late. It's 1:42 in the morning, and I still have to edit this podcast and post. So take care. Be well. See you tomorrow. Please share, please subscribe, and be safe.